The young men were in a room that was apparently not well kept, with most of its paint off the walls. There were two young guys playing cards under the dim light of a bulb. The one with the cigarette hanging out of the corner of his mouth replied, without throwing a glance, "Hi, Vicente." Vicente walked to the end of the hall and pulled up a curtain and entered the room. He was whistling a tune. He knelt down in front of a chest and pulled the last drawer in the bottom where there were some books. He got the largest one out of the drawer and opened it. There was a square hole inside the book. Obviously, the inner side of the book was cut in a square shape and was taken out. His eyes almost dashed out of his eye sockets. He started yelling some words in Portuguese and ran back to the entrance of the apartment. The two guys playing cards stood up in curiosity. Vicente: "All my money is gone! I made a hole in a book and put my money case in it." Vicente looked crazy while he was running around in the apartment. That night was a major chapter for Vicente. He could not go to the police since he was not residing in the U.S. legally. All the money he saved was in a small case, and that case had been stolen. That means he would not eat, he would not buy anything for himself. On his terms, he was dead now. Eduardo figured out he was back to his old days in New York. He knew he was back to reverse the damage he gave to his roommate Vicente. He was on a sidewalk. After a few stops, he saw the building where he spent the first years where he moved to this old city. He crossed the street and took the 5 steps of stairs leading to the door of the building. It was a 5-story building with no elevator. Once he climbed up to the 4th floor, he recognized the door with a graffiti on it. He knocked on the door. There was an unbearable bad scent in the air. "This building still stinks," he thought. A young guy opened the door and asked in Spanish, "What do you want?" Eduardo: "I want to see Vicente." The guy: "Nobody's called that here." Eduardo: "But how come?" Another guy, taller than the other, pushed him away and asked, "Why do you ask about him?" No sooner, the guy grabbed Eduardo's t-shirt that he was done with asking the question. "What the f are you doing here?" Then he punched him on the face. Eduardo ended up lying on the floor, as he did not expect such a move. The guy walked on to him. He raised his hand and said, "No, don't. I'm looking for him to apologize." The guy: "Huh, apologize? What are you talking about? You ruined his life, man." Eduardo: "Can I please speak to him?" The guy: "He does not come here since you swiped his money. Lucas did not let him stay here. He does not have a job and he could not pay the rent, so Lucas kicked him out of here." Eduardo: "Where is he now?" The guy: "I heard he was on the streets and works for Alejandro. He's a drug dealer." Eduardo froze and his jaw down. The guy continued, "Most of the time, he's on drugs. I don't think you will find him awake." Eduardo: "Can you show me the spot where he is now?" Eduardo and the guy started walking on the street. It was almost dark and the people were in a rush. Just then, Eduardo was thinking why Michael let him appear in a time after he stole the money, but did not before. This way, Eduardo could not reverse what happened that day. Meanwhile, he noticed there was no sound or noise on the street anymore. He turned his head from his shoes to other people around. Oh my goodness, everybody froze where they were. Their feet and arms were frozen while they moved. He felt an enormous fright. He never saw such a thing before. Cars, buses, people stopped moving and froze. It was like time had paused. It was Michael who broke the silence. "Yes, I felt your feelings. You were brought down to the days after you ruined his life. We wanted you to see what a calamity your friend went through after all you did to him. Now you are going to see him. Do you think he'll remember you? No! He'll probably not raise his head to look at your damned face. He's an addict and he sells drugs for Alejandro. In return, Alejandro feeds him with drugs. That's all about his life. Pretty soon, he will return to that day." As soon as he finished his words, Eduardo wound up in the shared room. He rushed to the chest and pulled back the drawer. He saw the Bible, pulled it up, and opened it hastily. Yes, the case was in place. He was glad to see that. He closed the case and put everything back in place. He lied on his bed and started waiting for Vicente to show up. It did not take long, though. Once Vicente entered, he said, "What's up, bro?" Eduardo lifted himself up and said, "Nothing much." Vicente: "I heard that you missed to pay the last rent." Eduardo: "Yeah, I'm still looking for a job." Vicente: Listen, today I spoke to my boss. He's looking for a truck driver. I told him I got a friend who can drive a truck. You know how to drive, right? Eduardo: But I don't have a license. Vicente: No problem. Bro, I'm sure my boss will help you get one. By the way, here it is. Grab this money and pay your rent. Once you get your salary, you can pay me back. Eduardo looked astonished with Vicente's friendship and generosity. He dropped his head down and placed his face inside his palms. He was trying to suppress his sobbing. Vicente asked in surprise, What? What's wrong? Eduardo was sitting on the couch and saw Michael standing again at the back of the room. It's weird, right? Eduardo: What? Michael: How long ago did you sit in front of the TV? Eduardo was perplexed and replied, I don't know. Michael: Do you want to hear something weirder? Eduardo: It's still showing commercials and the soccer game never starts. Michael was right. He switched back and forth in time, but the TV was still showing commercials. Eduardo did not try to wander further and asked with a tired look, What should I get it then? Michael: I'm just trying to tell you everything you've been going through since you died is an illusion. You are seeing what we want you to, like you are doing what we want as well. After that, Eduardo heard the soccer commentator welcome the audience. Good night, everyone. I'm pretty sure you'll watch the greatest soccer finale ever. Michael smiles. You see, everything is our absolute control. The game just started since we wanted so. Eduardo asked, Okay, tell me what's next. To be continued.